Hey, welcome back to the final chapter of our e-commerce conversion rate optimization course. In this chapter, I'm going to walk you through step by step the process we are using to optimize our clients' websites. Before we get started, I highly recommend to download our worksheet. This worksheet, as you see, is a Google Sheet with some very useful information and tabs here. You will see a summary of the methodology, a sample project plan, and some other very useful material which I will cover later. Okay, but this is the link that you should use. Just open it and make a duplicate version of this worksheet. All right, now let's see the methodology itself. We use a three-step optimization process. The first step is the analysis. This is where we collect all the ideas that's worth testing. The second is the launch. This is where we set up all the campaigns that needs to be tested. And third is the optimization process, where we evaluate the results and we make decisions based on the results. So let's start with the first step, the analysis part. The very first step of the analysis is what we call the opportunity discovery. We prefer this name, opportunity discovery, than finding problems to solve or something like that, because each of these problems are basically opportunities to get more sales and more conversions. The first part is what we call is basically a technical analysis to see if the website is fast enough, if it's built up correctly, if it's not broken. These are I would say the basics to see if there's some big technical issue that's causing the user to abandon the sale. The second is we check the Google Analytics or some other source of data to see what are the starting points for conversions, cart abandonment, sales, and other key metrics. In Google Analytics, you can also find a lot of data to see where are the problems in your customer journey. And data is the best way to see that this or that channel, for example, is converting poorly, or that landing page should perform better. So the data shows you where are the problems, but the customers themselves can tell you exactly what are the problems. From Google Analytics, you will see the key areas where you need improvement, but it will not tell you how you can improve those areas. So you will need other ways to learn the actual reasons for the poor conversion. This is where the feedback collection comes in. Feedbacks directly from the customer is usually the most trustworthy data to see what's problem. What is stopping you from buying your glasses, for example, and other pop-ups, side messages, and other messages could be an ideal way to get relevant information from your customers. It can also be like a simple feedback pop-up. Hey, how satisfied are you with the shipping? Or it could be like an NPS score. Help us improve after the purchase, or when someone is just trying to leave. Just ask them, hey, help us improve. How would you rate your shopping experience? If they respond with an 8, 9, or 10, you can just thank them and probably ask them to provide a review. But if they rate you somewhat in the lower range, then you can just ask them that, hey, sorry to hear that, what can we do to improve our experience? And provide them an area where they can type their feedback. If there's no way to collect direct feedback from your customers, you can still use Heatmap or other mouse tracking software and watch the exact customer sessions and look for problems or issues you might solve. Hotjar or Clarity from Microsoft can provide an ideal and easy way to see patterns that might be problematic on your website. Then you can also talk to your customer support. The customer support is usually the channel where most of the direct customer feedback is collected. You can just ask them that, hey, what are the top 10 reasons which we get from clients regarding the purchase? You can also do direct customer interviews and ask them directly questions. Hey, what were you looking for? What stopped you from buying? And of course, finally, what we call heuristic analysis, basically gut feeling, just based on the experience, based on what you know, based on your information and your knowledge about the market, what could be stopping the users from buying? How you might be able to improve the user experience. As an extra, what I would also recommend is to just use this checklist in the worksheet of ours. Here you will find a list of questions where you can just have to answer yes or no questions. Basically, it's a survey with 30-some questions, and based on your answers, this checklist will provide you a list of opportunities. And not only just a random list, but it will be prioritized based on RISE score. This RISE score is one of the most popular prioritizing methods: reach, impact, confidence, and effort. This is the exact methodology we are using here. It's not important to memorize this one, I'm just showing it to you. And this is how the optimization plan actually looks like. So for example, this is the opportunity, this is the recommended tactic. You can click each tactic, by the way, and it will take you to the exact tactic and how to set it up, and there will be a priority, so you can basically start with the top priority, or you can just use it in your own decision making. So this was the analysis part. Now comes the step number 2, launching the top campaigns which you think will provide the best ROI and the biggest impact on your sales. The campaign creation process in OptiMonk is quite easy. You have to install the code, the JavaScript code, activate the Shopify app embedded mode. If you are using Shopify, it's rather easy. Then you just have to create your campaigns. We have 2 editors, one for the pop-ups and other overlays, which looks like this. As you can see, you can edit both on the desktop and the mobile versions. You can use themes, meaning that you can customize your own template family with your own colors, with your own fonts, and you don't have to always set it up for every pop-up, for every campaign you are actually using. And you can also use the so-called save styles, meaning that you can save any custom formatted button or other element as a unique style, and you can reuse these elements later in your other campaigns. And we also have the other editor, which we call the dynamic content editor. This is where you can set up the website A/B test and the website personalizations. Here, as you can see, you can just open up the page and click on the elements which you want to personalize or A/B test. Just click on them. You can edit them directly. You can edit the style, or you can even edit the HTML code of these elements if that's what you actually wish. And then you can set up the targeting and triggering. For pop-ups and other overlays, there's this trigger section. For the dynamic content, of course, there's no triggers. There are multiple triggers you can choose from. And of course, there's an abundance of targeting options based on which you can target your messages. I'm not going to go too deep into this one. You can read about all of these in our support portals if needed. Then we also recommend setting up the user experience protector, which is basically an AI that protects the users from unnecessary annoyance. It will limit the number of messages seen by a visitor in a certain amount of time. So even if you set up 100 different campaigns or pop-ups which would all appear right after each other, this user experience protector will not let them appear, but it will only allow the most important message to actually appear. Then, of course, you have to set up the integration. If you are using other email service providers, you can connect your campaigns directly to these email service providers. And then when the campaign is ready, this is where you can actually set up the experiment. Here you can add a new A/B testing variant, which can be, you can actually copy a previous variant if you want to A/B test different versions, or you can ask a control variant if you want to A/B test against control against nothing, for example, a pop-up. And this is how it looks like when it's ready. Then you can choose the conversion goal. This is about how you measure the performance of your campaigns. You can create new custom conversion goals and new custom conversion events. Create a new conversion goal, for example, based on the page you viewed new products. If the URL contains new products, then this will be a viewed new products event, and you can optimize your campaigns for this particular goal and for this particular event. So this was the campaign launch, and then comes the optimization. So once your campaigns are launched, that's when we can start learning. This is when the data collection will start. So we usually check our campaigns after the first day, just to make sure that the data is collected and there are impressions, there are conversion, everything is working as it should. But usually after 1 day, we cannot make any decisions based on the data. The second checkpoint is around 1 week, where for bigger brands, we usually have enough data to be able to make certain decisions. After 2 weeks, usually we have enough data even for smaller brands, and after a month, we usually have enough data even for the smallest brands to make decisions. Analyzing the data is rather easy. In a campaign analytics, you can analyze your campaigns based on any conversion goal or event, including orders, revenue, add to carts, and any custom conversion goal you've set up. And once you have confidence that your new version is better than the original, for example, then of course it's time to conclude. For example, in this example, this is already way overdue, so probably this could have been stopped much sooner. And all you have to do is just to stop or discontinue the original version. What happens if the challenger variant loses? Well, that's when the learning happens. So we get back to the drawing board and back to the optimization plan. We might draw up some new ideas, what to test, and we can start it over. What happens if there's no clear winner? Well, when there's no clear winner, that usually means that the control wins. Our smart A/B testing also works like that. So if the challenger cannot obviously beat the control, then it discards the challenger and keeps the winner. That's usually the safest method. So for example, in the smart A/B test, you could see that this first challenger actually beat the original version by 7%, but there was only like 74% chance to win. So after 10 days, it said that, all right, let's discard this one and go to the next one. And finally, if there's a clear winner in your dynamic content campaign, so if you run a website A/B test and there's a clear headline that obviously is better than the original one that's on your website, then it makes sense to hard code these winning variants, not just let the A/B testing tool replace always the original headline with the winning version, but go into the Shopify or to the other landing page builder you are actually using and hard code this winning version into the page. And if you conclude it and release this experiment, it's a winner, then celebrate this win, go back to the prioritized list, pick the next idea that you want to test, and start it all over. And in an ideal world, this is an ongoing process where you keep testing newer and newer ideas and keep optimizing your conversion rates. Of course, depending on the resources, the time, and the people and other resources you have. I hope you could see that starting A/B testing and starting optimization is really not rocket science, and you already have the tools necessary for run all kind of different optimizations. So I wish you a very best of luck in your conversion optimization journey. Thank you.